Moving on to reviews. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5. If you watched the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you were put off, I completely understand. It really didn't get that good until like episode 17 when it tied into Captain America the Winter Soldier. From that point on, it's been hitting the ground running, and it's been just a really good show. Maybe the seasons are a little too long, 22 episodes is quite a bit, and I think this season is the first one since the first season that's kind of struggled a little with the 22 episodes. And noticeably this season was designed to be the final season. You can tell everywhere you look they're just wrapping up storylines and finishing off character arcs and so on and so forth. And if this wasn't renewed for a sixth season, this would have been perfectly fine to end the show with. So, too many episodes. To make up for the 22 episode seasons, from the second season onwards, they split the seasons into two chunks. So the first half is about one thing, the second half is about another, and there's usually like some branching of storylines to connect them. This is the first time I think where that hasn't quite worked that well. We're going into some light spoilers here. It's more about the premise of the show. The first like 10 episodes, they are zapped into the future. You don't really know why, that's the whole point of the show. But in the future, the Earth has been destroyed, and they are living in space. There are aliens and mysterious things going on all around them. And yeah, this isn't a spoiler because you know exactly what the show is going to be about. But the whole point of the first half of the season is finding out what's going on and then getting back to the present. So then the second half of the season is all about trying to prevent the future. And you don't really know all the answers at this point, like what caused the Earth to get destroyed. Although there are some questions and mysteries surrounding it. And the problem is a lot of these just aren't quite that interesting. The characters in this season start becoming a little frustrating, particularly Yo-Yo, who's just complaining and moaning at every corner and turn that she takes. And yeah, sometimes it's a little repetitive. This season is the first season where I've really noticed the budget limitations. You can tell that they're filming scenes on like the same corridor that's just being redesigned and covered up. You can tell that half of it's in a warehouse, which is fine, it's a TV show, but it's really noticeable this season, and everything just looks a little bland. So, slight spoilers now. If you do not want any spoilers for Avengers Infinity War or this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., perhaps stop listening, jump ahead to my next review. Avengers Infinity War, a huge event. How was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going to tie into it? Well, it turns out it wasn't. Yeah, the final few episodes is made clear that the events of these final few episodes are happening concurrently with Avengers Infinity War. The problem is that the events of Avengers Infinity War never actually matter to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we don't know how the events of Avengers Infinity War impacts the characters of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, presumably in Season 6 we'll find out, but it's like, at that point will we really care? Because Season 6 not coming out, I would say, until towards the end of 2019. So yeah, a little bit of a mistake on that front. But yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, a good final season. It's not the final though, because there is going to be another one. But yeah, a good season of the show. Unsane. So, the noticeable thing about Unsane that you'll probably know going into it is that it was filmed entirely on an iPhone, and you can tell. Not only because the aspect ratio is narrower, but because there's a lot of unique shots, the lighting's not brilliant in certain areas, but it really does give this an immersive, stylish look and feel. You feel like you're there, you feel like this is almost like a found footage film or a documentary. And in many ways it reminded me of the Danish film movement Dogma 95. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. I really can't be bothered to explain it right now. But yeah, Claire Foy in the lead role is brilliant. She plays a very unlikable character, or a dislikable character. Which one of them is a real word? But yeah, she's good in the lead role. You find her fascinating and interesting despite the fact that she's not a nice person. The circumstances in which she's put in that she's involuntarily put into this mental hospital and they won't let her leave. That's the whole idea and premise of this. I'm not going to say anything more because there are twists and turns, there are surprises, and it's really fascinating. I suggest you watch it. It's a good, very enjoyable film. It's only an hour and a half as well. You rarely get films that long these days, especially ones that are really good. But yeah, a really well directed, well acted film. I like the way it was made with an iPhone. Very impressive. Plenty of twists and turns. Very fun and enjoyable. Maybe it takes a little too long to actually get into things. I think it's like 20 minutes or so before she actually gets to the hospital. And now we're getting into a little spoilers. If you want my full thoughts on this, you can go to falsebackgrant.wordpress.com because I did write a full review. But spoilers now. There is a glaring plot hole in this film. At least I think it's a plot hole. I didn't notice them trying to explain it. I didn't notice them trying to come up with some sort of excuse as to how this happened. But basically, Claire Foy's character, she's afraid of her stalker. She moves across the state or across the country to get away from her stalker. She does have a restraining order against him. Everywhere she goes, the reason she goes to this mental hospital because she's seeing him everywhere. She's paranoid and she's scared. So she goes to this mental hospital. She gets involuntarily locked inside it for treatment, and next thing you know, she's seeing this stalker everywhere. And here's the big spoiler, so you've been warned. It turns out the stalker actually is in the hospital. He actually works there. So the plot hole here is that it doesn't explain how he got the job here. It doesn't explain how coincidental this all is, how she just so happened to go to this mental hospital, the one that he's working at. Did he get a job there after she was assigned there? Because he doesn't show up until afterwards. Or was he already working there? In which case, how did he know she would go there? How did he even get a job here? Turns out he does steal an identity, but it's all very convenient, very suspicious. They really don't do a good job of explaining it. But yeah, if you can overlook this little point, it's a very fun and enjoyable film. But this is a little distracting and a little annoying for what is a good film. Final review, The Death of Superman. This is an animated film, straight to home video, and it's based on a classic graphic novel. I believe it was released in 1992, but I could be wrong with that. Graphic novels and comics aren't my expertise, although I do read them. And the film isn't great. It's not bad by any means, it's just not good. The problem is that the film relies so much on you having some sort of knowledge or experience with the DC universe already. You need to know who the characters are, what's already happened, what's being hinted at, otherwise you won't have a clue what's going on. So the film's about basically Doomsday comes from space, crashes into the planet and causes chaos. And the Justice League try to stop him, they fail. Superman, for reasons that aren't explained very well and just feel really just silly, he doesn't show up until later to save the day, or try to save the day, and he has this huge fight with Doomsday. And spoilers, it's in the title, you know exactly what's going to happen, and that's a big problem, is that you know exactly what's going to happen because of the title of the film. He dies at the end. Yeah, that shouldn't be a surprise. Superman dies at the end, and the big problem with the film is that it is just one big fight. It's just chaos. Very little story going on there, very little character development. It relies on you already knowing who the characters are. And I do know all the characters. I know certain things about this, but it feels like this is a sequel to a bunch of films that have already happened, and maybe it is, but I was always under the impression that these DC films were loosely connected and not actually a series. But there are hints that there's going to be a sequel to this. I mentioned earlier in the news, in part 1 of the show, that there is a upcoming Superman film coming out next year. Hopefully that's going to be a sequel to this and to actually flesh certain things out. But yeah, If you like big action animated films, give this a go. If you're a big fan of the original graphic novel, give it a try. But yeah, The Death of Superman, very average film. Another problem with it is that this is a story that's been told quite a few times before already now, and most recently in Batman v Superman, which it wasn't told very well. Here, it's still not told very well. I don't really see the point in this. It's been told better before. It's been told in other ways before. Why have we gotten this adaptation now when it's not all that different from what's came before, and it's not really doing anything special or unique or interesting? But yeah, if you like DC, you might like this. Voice acting wise, it's fine for the most part. I really liked Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor. He's a cross between like the more serious, intelligent Lex Luthor and the more goofy Lex Luthor that we get from Jesse Eisenberg. So I liked how he kind of bridges the gap of that and does something a little more unique and interesting, at least from what I've seen. And the actress who plays Lois Lane, I believe it was Rebecca Romaine. I can't fault her as an actress, but I think she was wrong for this part. I can't quite explain it, but she sounded older and more mature and serious than the character should be, I feel. But yeah, Death of Superman, give it a go if you want. I wouldn't highly recommend it though. And that's the show this week. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2 of the show, well, you can check them out. I've uploaded them into different chunks on YouTube, or you can wait till Friday to get the full show in its entirety. But if you don't want to wait till Friday every week, you can go to twitch.tv/the_Grant Burton and watch it live. Get involved in the show, chat to me, hang out with me, see this train wreck as it happens. Hopefully it won't be that much of a train wreck when I actually start doing it. If you like what you've seen, you can subscribe to me. That would be absolutely brilliant. 100 subscribers gets me a custom URL. Give me a thumbs up. Share this across social media. Any support you want to give me would really be appreciated. If you don't like it, maybe you know someone else who does. You know someone called Barry? Tell him I'm talking about him. Tell him to come check this out. Tell him I'm taking the mick out of him. Yeah. Go tell Barry to watch this show. You know someone. I bet you do. But I'm Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton, or you can go to forcedbygrant.wordpress.com for all of my written reviews. Until next time, I'm out.